The Galactic Gathering. The Galactic Council citadel floated in the cold darkness of space, orbiting a dying red star. Its enormous silver towers reached toward the void like blades, glowing softly with alien light. Ships of hundreds of species surrounded it, shaped like strange creatures and living machines. Inside, the grand hall of the council was alive with sound. The largest gathering in decades had begun. Representatives from across the galaxy had come. Massive reptilian warriors stood next to insect-like ambassadors. Floating jellyfish-like beings shimmered with bioluminescent colors. Voices of many tongues echoed through the chamber. At the center of the hall stood a huge circular platform. Above it, a holographic crest rotated slowly, the symbol of the late galactic King Varzul. The great king had ruled for over 3 centuries, but now he was gone. Today, his final will would be revealed. The arrival of the human among the thousands present. Ethan Cross, a tall human in a dark Earth Alliance uniform, walked slowly into the chamber. His boots clicked against the glass floor. His dark eyes scanned the alien faces turned toward him. Some stared with curiosity. Others laughed quietly. "Look," one scaly alien whispered. "The human is here, the primitive species." Another, a tall avian diplomat, chuckled softly. "Fragile bones, weak lungs, short lifespan. What business does he have in the king's will?" Ethan heard them, but he didn't react. He walked calmly to his seat at the edge of the platform, a tiny glowing emblem of Earth hovering above it. Behind his ear, a small silver device blinked. His AI companion, Naira. Inside his earpiece, Naira's soft voice whispered, "Ethan, the council database is locked, but I'm watching for hidden data." "Good," Ethan muttered quietly. "Something about this doesn't feel right." The council speaks high above the platform. The supreme chancellor of the council, an ancient alien with translucent skin, raised its 6 arms. The room fell silent. "Representatives," the chancellor said, its voice deep and vibrating. "Today, we honor the passing of King Varzul the Great. His wisdom united the galaxy for centuries, and today, we read his final will." Gasps and whispers filled the chamber. The chancellor activated the will hologram. A projection of the late king appeared, towering over the council. His deep rumbling voice filled the air. "To the council I leave my empire in your care. To my people I leave my name. And to a chosen one, I leave my daughter, Princess Zira." Murmurs spread through the hall. The king's only daughter was a mystery to most. But those who had seen her spoke of her strange appearance. Some said she was cursed. Some said she was hideous. The hologram continued. "The one who shall inherit her hand is Ethan Cross of Earth." For a moment, silence. Then laughter, the mockery. The chamber exploded with mocking voices. "A human? Is this a joke? Primitive mammals marrying the royal bloodline?" A massive insectoid ambassador clicked its mandibles, its voice full of sarcasm. "Enjoy your prize, human. The king's ugly daughter is now yours." Even the reptilian warlords laughed, pounding their chests. A thin, green-skinned alien shouted loudly, "Humans cannot even breathe without machines on half our worlds, yet one of them inherits the royal bloodline? What madness is this?" But Ethan remained calm. He didn't even blink. His eyes stayed fixed on the king's fading hologram. Nira whispered softly, "Ethan, this is strange. The hologram carries encrypted data. The king hid something inside his will." Ethan's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then it isn't what it seems," he murmured. Suspicion in the shadows as the mocking continued. Ethan noticed something unusual. In the highest balcony, 3 hooded figures stood perfectly still. They weren't laughing. They weren't speaking. Their glowing red eyes stayed locked on him. He leaned slightly, whispering under his breath, "Naira, see them?" "I see them," Naira replied instantly. Scanning. "Their armor emits cloaked energy signals, military grade. They don't belong to any registered delegation." Ethan's suspicion deepened. Why would armed mercenaries be here watching him? Suddenly, he understood. This wasn't just about inheritance. Something much bigger was at play. The calm before the storm. The Chancellor's voice boomed again, silencing the hall. By the will of King Varzul, the inheritance is binding. The human shall meet the princess. Their union shall be recognized. The laughter slowed. Some aliens exchanged uneasy glances. Others whispered hurriedly among themselves. Ethan slowly rose from his seat. All eyes turned toward him. He spoke in a calm, steady voice. I accept the inheritance. The room went silent again. Even those who mocked him froze. A few council members frowned, confused. Accepting the princess was seen as a curse, a punishment. Why would a human agree so easily? Ethan's gaze moved slowly across the hall, meeting the cold, glowing eyes of the hooded watchers on the balcony. Inside his earpiece, Naira whispered softly, Ethan, I think the king wanted you to find something, and those three up there, they know it too. Ethan adjusted his uniform, his voice low, and the daughter revealed. The cold, metallic corridors of the Galactic Council citadel hummed with hidden energy. The council meeting was over, but whispers of mockery still echoed in every corner. Ethan Cross walked silently through the golden passageway, his boots clicking softly against the smooth alloy floor. Around him, alien delegates passed in groups, throwing sideways glances and laughing quietly. Poor human. He doesn't know what he's walking into. The king's ugly daughter will destroy him. Ethan ignored them all. His face was calm, but inside his mind raced. Behind his ear, the small silver AI module flickered. Naira's voice, soft but sharp, spoke directly into his thoughts. Ethan, I've decrypted more of the king's will. He slowed his pace. And? Princess? Zira, she isn't what they say. Her body carries genetic patterns I've never seen before. She's hiding something. Or someone is hiding it for her. Ethan's eyes narrowed. So, the ugly daughter rumor is a cover. Exactly, Naira replied. Someone wants the galaxy to mock her. They want her forgotten. So no one sees the truth. The path to isolation, 2 armored guards waited ahead, their armor black and polished, the king's crest glowing faintly on their chests. One of them, a towering amphibian warrior, hissed softly. Human. Follow. Without a word, Ethan walked between them. They led him down a spiral corridor into a restricted wing of the citadel. The lights grew dim. The walls here were ancient stone instead of metal, carved with strange alien symbols that pulsed faintly like veins. Finally, they stopped in front of a massive silver door. It opened silently, revealing a dark chamber lit by a soft blue glow. Enter, the guard rasped. The princess waits. The first meeting, Ethan stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a deep, final hiss. The chamber was large and circular, its walls covered in flowing streams of alien text. At the center stood a transparent energy sphere filled with shimmering mist. And within it, a figure sat cross-legged, silent and still. Princess Zira. She was nothing like the rumors. Her skin was a shifting canvas of soft violet and deep silver, glowing faintly like starlight on water. Her 4 luminous eyes studied Ethan calmly, unblinking. Strange fractal patterns ran across her arms, pulsing like living circuits. She was alien, yes. But ugly? No. She was something else entirely. Something beyond human understanding. Ethan Cross of Earth. Her voice echoed directly in his. Mind soft yet carrying power. The council laughs at you. They believe you came here for an inheritance you do not understand. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Maybe they're right. Or maybe they're blind. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Zira lowered the energy field. The shimmering barrier dissolved into nothing. She stepped forward slowly, her movements graceful, deliberate. Her eyes, 2 glowing silver, 2 deep black, locked onto Ethan's. My father chose you, she said quietly. Do you know why? No, Ethan replied, but I plan to find out. The king's hidden secret. Zira turned, touching the wall. A section of alien script lit up, projecting a hologram into the air. Ethan saw the late King Varzul's face again, but this time his expression was grave, almost desperate. "Zira, my child," the king's voice said, "by the time you see this, I will be gone. The council cannot be trusted. Within your blood lies the key of ascendancy. It can awaken the stellar forge, a weapon older than the council itself. I chose a human, Ethan Cross, because the galaxy will never suspect him. Protect him, trust no one." The hologram faded, leaving silence. Ethan's chest tightened. A weapon older than the council, a key hidden in Zira's blood. Suddenly the pieces connected. The laughter, the mockery, the inheritance. It was all a distraction. The entire galaxy thought Zira was cursed, so no one would ever look at her closely enough to learn the truth. "Now you understand," Zira said softly. "You are not here to marry me. You are here to survive me." Assassins in the shadows. Before Ethan could reply, Naira's voice cut sharply into his ear. "Ethan, movement. Multiple life forms approaching fast. Energy weapons detected." Zira's 4 eyes flared bright silver. "They've come for you," she whispered. A section of the wall exploded inward with a deafening blast. 3 hooded assassins stormed into the chamber, their plasma blades glowing like molten suns. Ethan dropped low as one blade slashed over his head, slicing through a pillar like butter. He rolled behind a console, pulling a compact rail pistol from his belt. Zira didn't hide. She stood tall, her fractal patterns blazing like fire. One assassin lunged at her, and she moved faster than the human eye could follow. Her hand shot forward, touching the assassin's chest. A ripple of pure energy surged through him, sending his body flying across the chamber, dead before it hit the wall. Ethan froze for a heartbeat. So this was the ugly daughter they mocked? She was a weapon herself. The second assassin leapt toward Ethan, but a quick burst from his rail pistol dropped him instantly. Sparks flew as the energy blade clattered to the floor. The last assassin hesitated. Then he snarled something in a harsh alien tongue and detonated a small sphere in his hand. A blinding flash filled the chamber. When the light cleared, the assassin was gone. The dangerous truth. Ethan reloaded his pistol, breathing hard. "That's twice today someone's tried to kill me. Starting to feel special." Zira walked closer, her glowing patterns dimming slowly. "It has begun," she said softly. "The council knows nothing, but others do. There are factions out there who will burn entire systems to control the stellar forge." Naira's voice was urgent in his ear. "Ethan, security feeds show at least 7 more assassins spreading through the Citadel. We need to move, now." Ethan turned toward Zira. "Then we stick together. If you're the key, they'll come for you next." Zira stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once. "Very well, human. But understand this." Her voice dropped to a whisper, cold and sharp. "From this moment forward, you are no longer a man. You are the trigger to a war that could end the galaxy." The Citadel under siege. The alarms screamed through the Galactic Council citadel like a dying beast. Red warning lights flooded the ancient halls, and the deep hum of energy shields activating echoed through the structure. Ethan Cross stood with his back against the shattered chamber door, his rail pistol raised. Beside him, Princess Zira's 4 glowing eyes burned like molten stars. "Naira," Ethan whispered, his jaw tight. "Talk to me." Inside his earpiece, the AI's voice came fast and clipped. "I've hijacked the Citadel security feeds. There are 12 assassins inside this wing. They're not council guards, Ethan. Their armor matches Oblivion Syndicate kill teams." Ethan's grip tightened. The Oblivion Syndicate, an ancient, secretive group of alien warlords, were rumored to control half the galaxy's black markets. If they were here, it meant one thing. Someone else knew about the Stellar Forge. The first wave-heavy footsteps thundered outside. Shadows moved against the flashing red light. Then, silence. Ethan's breath slowed. Zira placed one hand on the floor. Strange, glowing fractal lines spread beneath her palm. 3 to the left, she whispered. 2 above us. One hiding, behind the door. Ethan nodded. Stay behind me. The door burst inward with a blast of plasma fire. Ethan dropped low, rolling to the side, his rail pistol spitting silent bursts of magnetic energy. The first assassin fell instantly, armor sparking. Two more leapt in from above, their twin plasma blades crossing like burning fangs. Zira moved faster than sight, her fractal patterns blazing. Her hand touched the first assassin's neck. A pulse of living energy erupted and his body collapsed in a heap. The second swung wildly at her, but she bent backward in an impossible arc, her four eyes glowing brighter than the plasma blade itself. Her voice rang in Ethan's head. Down! Ethan dropped, and Zira unleashed a shockwave of raw kinetic force. The assassin slammed into the far wall, armor cracking under the impact. But there was no time to breathe. Naira's voice was sharp and urgent now. Ethan, 4 more inbound from the East Hall. We need extraction. Now. The escape plan. Ethan ducked behind a broken console, firing 2 quick shots to keep the attackers pinned. Naira, give me options. Nearest secure route is level 12 transit shaft, 200 meters north, but, Ethan demanded, but it's outside the Citadel shield zone. Once we leave, we're exposed. Zira stepped close, her glowing patterns dimming as she concentrated. We cannot stay. These assassins will not stop. Ethan glanced at her. Then we run. Through the dead halls, they burst into the corridor. Smoke from the earlier blasts curled through the air like ghostly fingers. Statues of long-dead kings lined the passage, their alien faces frozen in silent judgment. The Citadel trembled beneath their feet. Somewhere far below, another explosion shook the foundations. Ethan led the way, Naira feeding him holographic navigation through his earpiece. Left, 50 meters, then down the spiral. But as they turned the corner, they froze. The walls ahead were smeared with black burn marks and shattered armor pieces lay scattered across the floor. Dozens of dead council guards littered the corridor, killed by something fast and brutal. Zira knelt beside one of the bodies, her 4 eyes narrowing. Not Syndicate, she whispered. These wounds are energy drained. Energy drained? Ethan frowned. Before Zira could answer, Naira interrupted sharply. Ethan, someone else is here. Multiple signatures, moving fast. Not Syndicate, not Council. Ethan's jaw tightened. So it's a 3-way war. The hunters appear. The sound came first. A low vibrating hum, like metal grinding against itself. Then they saw them. 3 towering figures stepped out of the shadows, each over 3 meters tall, their bodies encased in living metallic armor that seemed to shift and breathe. Where their faces should have been were smooth black visors glowing faintly with red energy. Zira inhaled sharply. No, it cannot be. You know them? Ethan asked, raising his pistol. They are called the Varian Hunters, Zira whispered. My father once told me they serve an ancient power older than the Council. If they are here, she stopped. Ethan finished for her. Then the Stellar Forge isn't just a weapon. It's a throne. The tallest hunter stepped forward. Its voice was a cold vibration that echoed through the air. Surrender the key or die. Fight or die. Ethan fired first. 3 precise shots to the lead hunter's chest. The round sparked harmlessly off its armor. Naira, Ethan barked. Options. Bad news. Those things are immune to standard weapons. Good news. The Citadel's old energy grid is still online. If you overload it, say no more. Ethan dove toward a control panel on the wall, ripping off the access plate. Sparks flew as he jammed a power cell into the ancient circuits. Meanwhile, Zira faced the 3 hunters. Her fractal patterns blazed so bright they hurt Ethan's eyes. She lifted both hands, and a sphere of pure gravitational energy formed. Between them, she hurled it forward. The blast hit the first hunter square in the chest, sending it crashing through a pillar with a deafening roar. The other 2 charged. One swung a massive energy spear, but Zira caught it mid-strike with her bare hand, twisting her body and slamming the creature into the floor. The last hunter lunged straight at Ethan, but at that moment, the power cell overloaded. The corridor, exploded with a surge of blue lightning, dancing across the walls and floor. The hunter convulsed violently, its armor cracking under the stress, before collapsing with a heavy thud. The price of power. Ethan dragged himself upright, coughing through the smoke. Everyone still alive? Zira nodded, but her glowing patterns flickered weakly. Using that much energy, it drains me, she whispered. Nira's voice came urgently. Ethan, we can't stay. More syndicate assassins inbound, and I'm detecting something worse. Define worse, Ethan growled. Something huge just dropped out of FTL near the Citadel. No council transponder, no syndicate signature. Ethan looked at Zira. She stared back, her four eyes wide. They found it, she whispered. Found what? Her voice trembled slightly for the first time. The Stellar Forge. They've activated it. The fractured galaxy, the Galactic Council citadel, was falling apart. Alarms screamed like dying beasts. Walls trembled. Sparks rained from shattered panels. The dying red star outside pulsed unnaturally, its surface twisting as if something inside it had awakened. Ethan Cross ran down the fractured corridor, breathing hard, his rail pistol clutched tight. Beside him, Princess Zira floated more than ran, her glowing fractal patterns shimmering weakly. Behind them, explosions roared as oblivion. Syndicate assassins clashed with the towering Varian hunters. The Citadel had become a war zone. Naira, Ethan gasped into his earpiece, and get me a way out. The AI's voice was sharp, almost panicked. The nearest docking bay is locked down, but I've hacked an old maintenance tunnel leading to Hangar 47. We've got one chance. Zira's four glowing eyes turned toward Ethan. If we fail, we won't leave alive. He nodded grimly. Then we don't fail. The hangar of Ghosts, Hangar 47, was a graveyard. Rows of ancient warships rested silently in the darkness, their hulls scarred from forgotten battles. Dust floated in the stale air like frozen ashes. Ethan stepped carefully, scanning the shadows. Nira whispered, "Life signs, 300 meters ahead. Faint, non-council origin." Zira touched a rusted wall, her glowing veins dimming. "This place is older than the council. My father once told me the first king stored secrets here." "Secrets?" Ethan frowned. Before Zira could answer, the silence broke. A single voice, deep and commanding, echoed through the hangar. "Human, princess, you cannot escape." From the darkness, 6 Varian hunters stepped forward, their living metal, armor shifting like liquid. Their leader carried a staff glowing with black energy. Ethan raised his weapon instinctively, but Zira placed a hand on his arm. "No," she whispered. "Their weapons are from the forge itself." The enemy. Within, before the hunters could strike, another sound filled the hangar. A new voice, cold and familiar. "Stand down, hunters. The human is mine." Ethan turned sharply. From behind the hunters stepped Chancellor Veyruk, one of the highest council leaders. His elegant robes were shredded and his eyes glowed faintly gold. Zira hissed softly. "Veyruk, you traitor." The Chancellor smiled thinly. "I serve a higher power now. The council is finished. The Stellar Forge belongs to those strong enough to claim it." Ethan tightened his grip on his pistol. "You activated it, didn't you?" Veyruk chuckled darkly. "No, human. I only opened the door. But now, the Forge has chosen." The awakening of the Forge. Suddenly, the entire citadel shook violently, almost throwing Ethan to the ground. Through the cracked hangar ceiling, the dying red star outside erupted in blinding white light. Naira's voice screamed in his ear. "Ethan, I've traced the energy surge. The Forge isn't inside the star. It is the star." Zira's four eyes widened in horror. "No, impossible. The Stellar Forge was supposed to be a machine." Ethan stared out at the blazing star. "That's no star," he whispered. "That's a weapon." The betrayal. Before Ethan could act, the Varian hunters lunged forward, plasma spears aimed at him. Zira raised her hands, fractal veins blazing like fire, and unleashed a gravitational wave that sent 2 hunters crashing into a derelict warship. But the others pressed on relentlessly. Ethan fired shot after shot, but their living metal armor absorbed the impacts like sand. Naira's voice cut through the chaos. Ethan. Emergency override unlocked. I can activate one of the old warships, but there's a catch. Of course there is, Ethan muttered. What is it? The ship's AI is locked. It only answers to royal DNA. Ethan turned to Zira. Guess who's driving? She hesitated. I've never flown before. He smirked despite the chaos. Good. Means you can't be predictable. The Great Escape. The ancient warship's engines roared to life, bathing the hangar in blue light. Ethan and Zira sprinted up the boarding ramp as energy blasts scorched the floor behind them. Inside, the cockpit lit up with alien glyphs. Zira placed her hand on the control panel, and the ship responded instantly. Hang on, she whispered. The warship tore through the hangar doors, exploding into open space. Behind them, the Citadel burned as Syndicate forces, Varian hunters, and Council security forces clashed in a storm of chaos. Ethan watched through the viewport, his jaw tight. The entire galaxy's going to war over this thing. Zira didn't reply. Her 4 eyes stayed locked on the dying star, now glowing brighter and brighter. The Chase Naira's voice came urgently. Bad news. 2 Varian cruisers on intercepty. Course, they're faster, heavier, and angry. Ethan strapped into the co-pilot seat. Then we improvise. Zira's glowing veins pulsed brighter as she connected directly with the ship's systems. Panels lit up, alien symbols shifting into patterns Ethan somehow understood. Suddenly, the ship lurched sideways, narrowly dodging a plasma barrage. Ethan grinned. Guess you can fly after all. Zira didn't smile back. They're not trying to destroy us, she whispered. They're trying to capture us. Why? Ethan asked. Zira's voice was barely audible. Because I'm the key. The dead signal just as the hunter's ships closed in, Naira interrupted sharply. Ethan, incoming transmission, encrypted, origin unknown. Put it through, the P. Cockpit filled with static, then a deep, distorted voice spoke. Human, princess, do not return to Earth, do not trust the Council. The Forge is awake, and the architects are coming. Then the signal went dead. Ethan and Zira exchanged a silent, heavy look. Neither of them spoke, but both understood one thing. The real enemy hadn't even arrived yet. The architects arrive, the void shook. The creator machine, the stellar forge, hung like a god in the dark. Its rings rotated slowly, each ring the size of a small world. Streams of bright energy flowed between them, like rivers of light. Ethan Cross watched from the cockpit window, his hands tight on the controls. Beside him, Princess Zira stood very still. Her 4 eyes glowed, but her face looked pale. In Ethan's ear, Naira whispered, Telemetry online. The forge is active. Field strengths beyond known math. Ethan, this thing could build a star in minutes, or erase one in seconds. Then we don't make it angry, he muttered. A cold voice moved through the ship like a wind that came from nowhere. Lock confirmed. Sequence ready. Awaiting. Architect. Zira's hands trembled. They're here, she said softly. The ones my father feared. When the sky opened, space tore. It did not explode or flash. It simply folded. A massive shadow formed as if reality itself blinked. Out of the fold stepped a fleet, but not ships made by minds like theirs. These vessels were silent and smooth, shaped like long, dark crescents. No windows, no engines, no lights, just geometry and purpose. Naira spoke again, smaller now. Contact. Count. 7 primary objects. Material unknown. Emissions. Silent. Ethan, they don't use normal drives. Do they see us? Ethan asked. We see you. The voice did not enter through speakers. It entered through thought. It was not cruel. It was not kind. It was final. Zira lifted her head. We do not belong to you. she said, steady but soft. Incorrect. The key belongs to the architects. The forge obeys the key. Bring the key. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Say that again, he said quietly. Bring the key. He looked at Zira. They mean you. Zira took a slow breath. If they take me, they take the forge. Then everything ends, or changes forever. Ethan's jaw set. Over my dead body. Accepted. The nearest crescent ship tilted. The stars around it bent like glass. A thin beam, colorless and bright, reached toward their cockpit. Slow, gentle, impossible to dodge. Brace! Ethan shouted. Zira stepped in front of him. Her fractal veins flared white. The beam struck the viewport and stopped. It touched her instead. For a heartbeat, the ship hummed like a giant string. Then the beam broke and vanished like a cut thread. Zira exhaled shakily. They cannot pull me while I am awake. Naira's voice sharpened. Ethan, we need allies or cover, anything. I'm scanning for Council traffic. Wait. Multiple fleets inbound, not just Council. Everyone. The galaxy fractures, they came like storms. Council ships with blue crests. Syndicate gun swarms in black armor. Pirate broods, border clans, even small independent fleets that never joined anyone. Each group arrived with old grudges and new fear. Channels exploded with angry voices. Council, hold formation. Syndicate, the key is ours. Independent worlds, destroy the forge. Border clans, take the girl alive. Ethan rubbed his temple. Great. A galactic reunion. Zira watched the crescents. They don't care about our war, she said. They only care about function. Bring the key. The same voice. Calm. Inevitable. Council dreadnoughts opened fire first. Bright lances of energy shot across space and slammed into a crescent. The beams bent around it like water around stone. No damage, no sound. Syndicate frigates launched plasma swarms. The swarms slowed, stopped, then drifted away, harmless as if gravity itself had changed its mind. Naira spoke fast. All weapons ineffective, the architects are different, Ethan finished. So we stop thinking about hurting them. We start thinking about outplaying them. A human plan. Naira, he said. Scan every frequency those crescents touch. Not just radio. Not just light. Scan fields. Patterns. Look for handshakes. On it. Ethan turned to Zira. How? Do you speak to the forge? I don't, she said. It speaks to me, it listens to my blood. Can you tell it to ignore a signal? Zira thought for a moment. If the signal goes through me, maybe. But I would need a shield. Something between me and them. Ethan nodded slowly. Then we build one. He moved fast. Opened panels. Ripped cables. Fed power through dead circuits. He turned the old warship into a cage around Zira, one made of fields and noise, not bars. Naira chimed in. Ethan, I found something. The crescents don't ping the forge, they resonate with it, like tuning forks. If we detune their song, we jam them, Ethan said. But not with static, with a counter-melody. Zira's 4 eyes lifted. I can try, but I will need something human, something different, something the forge has never heard. Ethan stared out at the stars. He thought of Earth, of long nights, of old radios crackling in storm air, of music sent into space by people who wanted to say, we are here. Naira, load the Voyager golden record patterns, he said. Whales, greetings, pulsar maps, and a heartbeat. A human heartbeat? Mine, Ethan said. Let's teach a god what a human refusal sounds like. The signal of refusal Zira stood in the center of the cockpit. The ship's field hummed around her. She closed her outer eyes and, with the inner pair, focused on the forge. Her veins glowed. The deck vibrated. Naira fed the ancient human sounds into the ship's coils. Whale calls. Greetings in many tongues. The quiet ticking of pulsars. Then Ethan pressed his palm to the control plate. The system caught his pulse. Thud. 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 Zira's voice fell to a whisper. Forge. Listen. Hear this new pattern. This is not command, this is choice. The Forge answered with a wave of light that rolled across its rings. For a breath, every ship in space paused. Even the crescents stilled. Unfamiliar input. Mapping. Mapping. Self. Ethan's pulse held steady. Stay with me, he murmured. Zira shook, but she did not fall. Forge, decline the call, decline the architect. Architect priority, cannot decline. Zira's glow brightened. Ethan felt heat in the cockpit air. Add this, he told Naira. Add our first word in space. Which word? No. The ship took that small word and made it big. It wove no through the fields, through the whales, through the heart. It bent the tone of the Forge's listening channel. It made refusal mathematical. The crescents moved again. Key is corrupted. Remove noise, remove human. A beam formed. It came slow like before, but this time it hit the ship's field and split into 3 lines that circled the hull and fizzled out like rain hitting hot stone. Naira gasped. It worked. We're jamming their resonance. Only partially, but it's real. Zira opened, all 4 eyes. We bought seconds, not hours. Seconds are enough for humans, Ethan said. He took the pilot grips. Now we steal something. The theft of a god's Tulivarian cruiser drifted below them, scarred, but alive. It had ram scoops, it had grapples, it had a spine made to hold heavy things. Naira, can that spine hold a Forge ring fragment? If we cut it clean. Ethan grinned. Zira, can you ask the Forge for a favor? Zira's voice steadied. What favor? Drop a crumb. She turned toward the window and spoke to the machine. Not with words, but with rhythm. Her light flickered in new patterns. The Forge's nearest ring hesitated. A small arc on its edge dimmed. Metal like running water formed a shard the size of a building and broke free. It drifted. The entire galaxy held its breath. Ethan dived. The warship shook. The shard spun and flashed like a mirror. Syndicate ships lunged for it. Council fighters did too. Everyone wanted it. Ethan reached first. Grapples fired. The shard slammed against the hull. The ship screamed. The cockpit filled. With alarms, Naira yelled. We have the fragment, but it's hot, it's loud. The crescents are... Return peace. Not today, Ethan said. We're leaving. The cost of leaving. They didn't get far. The crescents didn't chase with speed. They chased with geometry. Space folded in front of the warship and the stars rearranged like chess pieces. Every turn became a wall. Every exit, a mirror. Zira swayed. They are boxing us, she said. They are not angry. They are removing us. Naira's voice went very quiet. Ethan, I can punch a hole, but I need all power, all. That includes shields. Ethan looked at Zira. She met his eyes. She nodded once. Do it, he said. The ship's lights dimmed. The shield fell. The hull groaned. The drive built a sphere of dark inside the engines, a small night compressed. 3, Naira whispered. 2, 1. They jumped. Space screamed. The cockpit went white. Then, silence. The graveyard of blue suns. They fell into a place with too much light. A region of blue stars packed close, swirling around a black wound in the center. Dead ships. Drifted here. Old colony frames, broken stations, pieces of wars no one remembered. Zira leaned on the console. She looked weak. Too weak. Ethan unclipped and moved to steady her. Easy. She shook her head. I'm fine. She was not. Naira spoke again, softer. We have the shard. We are alone for now, but something is here. Listening. Ethan scanned. The graveyard. Architect? No. Human. Static clicked. Then a voice came in. Not telepathy. Radio. Old and warm and human. This is Earth Deep Relay 3. Unidentified warship. Identify yourself. Your signal contains royal markers. And Ethan? Ethan Cross, is that you? Ethan closed his eyes for a second. How is this possible? Zira straightened. It's a trap, she whispered. Naira disagreed. I don't think so. Relay 3 was decommissioned a century ago. Someone woke it. The human voice returned, urgent. Ethan, listen to me. The Council is collapsing. Earth declared neutrality. But we intercepted Architect Code. They are not here to rule. They are here to reset. They call it calibration. Calibration? Ethan asked. They will return the galaxy to factory settings. The words hit like ice water. Zira's 4 eyes dimmed. Factory settings means empty, she said. Wipe and rebuild, Ethan whispered. Naira's tone grew fierce. Then we make them fail. The offer, the human voice came back, calmer, focused. Ethan, we can help. We can't match their ships, but we can match their math. Bring us the shard. We can build a counter language. We can teach the Forge a new rule. Do not erase the living. Ethan looked at Zira. If we do this, they will chase us to Earth. Zira sighed. They already will. He nodded. Then we go home. The stars flickered. Something enormous moved at the edge of the graveyard. Naira whispered. Too late. When gods fall, the galaxy burned. Worlds screamed across open channels. Fleets shattered like glass. Council factions fought each other. Syndicate warbands raided anything unguarded. And above it all, silent and still, the Architect ships hung in the void, watching. But they didn't fire. They didn't move. They simply waited. The last refuge Ethan crossed stared at the holographic star map inside the warship's bridge. Thousands of systems glowed red, dead or dying. A few blue lights blinked faintly. Refuge zones, where survivors were gathering. Earth was one of them, for now. Beside him, Princess Zira stood with her 4 luminous eyes locked on the forged shard strapped to the ship's hull. Its alien metal pulsed softly like a living heart. Nira's voice came through the cockpit, calm but fast. Ethan, I've finished decrypting the Architect data stream we intercepted, and it's worse than we thought. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. Define worse. The Architects didn't build the Forge to make stars. Zira turned sharply. What? Naira hesitated, as if even an AI needed a breath. They built it to sort stars. Ethan frowned. Sort? Every few million years the Architects calibrate reality. They decide which stars stay, and which stars go dark. Zira's glowing patterns dimmed. That's why they wanted me. My blood activates the lock. Once I'm connected, the Forge obeys without question. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we break their control. Incorrect. The voice came from inside his mind. Deep. Final. The temperature dropped. The lights dimmed. One of the Architect crescents appeared outside their viewport, silent and immense. It wasn't attacking. It didn't need to. The invitation, human key. The time of calibration has come. Bring the key to the heart of the Forge. Do so, or the living will be erased. Ethan leaned forward, his voice low. And if we refuse? Refusal accepted. Earth scheduled for deletion. First sequence. Zira gasped. They'll burn your home. Ethan smiled faintly, but there was no humor in it. Then we don't refuse. Naira cut in sharply. Ethan, wait. We can't. Just give them Zira. We need leverage. We need time. Ethan turned to Zira. What happens if we reach the heart? She hesitated. Once I connect, the Forge recognizes me. But if I resist their commands, the Architects will force override. How long before override? Maybe a minute. Maybe less. Ethan nodded slowly. A minute's enough. Journey. Into a god, the warship drifted into the stellar Forge. The closer they came, the more impossible its size became. Its rings weren't just metal. They were entire ecosystems covered in forests, mountains, rivers, and alien ruins. Energy rivers stretched across them like veins of light. The heart was at the center, a sphere of pure white energy, swirling. With silent power, Zira whispered, The heart remembers every star ever born, Ethan whispered back. Let's make sure it remembers us. The betrayal just before docking, Naira screamed. Ethan, multiple signatures inbound. Council warships. Ethan's brow furrowed. I thought the council was falling apart. Zira turned pale. Not all of it. Some factions would rather serve the architects than die. Through the viewport, 30 council dreadnoughts appeared, their crests stripped, replaced with glowing architect runes. The comms crackled. A familiar voice filled the bridge. Chancellor Veyruk. Ethan Cross, Princess Zira, stand down. Humanity will survive if you surrender the key. Resist and Earth dies screaming. Ethan's jaw tightened. You already sold the galaxy. Now you want my home too? Veyruk's laugh was cold. Survival, human. That's all this is. The first clash, the dreadnoughts opened fire, streams of plasma lancing toward them. The warship's shields flared white under the impacts. Naira. Ethan barked. I'm working on it. Rerouting auxiliary cores. Hold on. Zira stepped forward, placing both hands on the shard's console. Her fractal veins blazed so bright they lit the entire bridge. Outside, one of the forge's inner rings shifted. A wall of energy rippled outward, catching 3 dreadnoughts in its path. Their shields melted instantly, hulls ripping apart like paper. Ethan stared. You controlled the forge? Zira shook, exhausted. Only a piece. I can't. Do it again soon. But the message was clear. Humanity wasn't defenseless anymore. The heart speaks. The warship reached the heart chamber, an open void surrounded by energy rivers. The shard on their hull detached on its own, floating toward the white sphere. Zira stepped into a beam of light. Her fractal patterns flared and she rose slowly off the deck. The forge woke. Billions of stars flashed into her mind. Galaxies, black holes, chains of energy older than memory. Ethan shouted from the console. Zira, focus. I see everything, she whispered. The forge is alive. It's not just a machine. It's a mind. Key confirmed. Begin calibration. Ethan grabbed the nearest cable and jammed it into his control gauntlet. Naira, jack me in. Naira hesitated. Ethan, this is suicide. Do it. The human hack. The moment Ethan connected, pain exploded behind his eyes. The forge's mind roared into his skull like a tidal wave. He saw fragments of alien languages, architect logic trees, calculations of life and death written in symbols his species had no words for. But he found something, a rule, simple, final. The forge obeyed it without question. Follow the key. Ethan smiled through gritted teeth. Then we rewrite the key. He synced his heartbeat to Zira's neural pattern. Naira amplified the signal, feeding human code into alien structure, pulsar maps, whale songs, children's laughter. Every first word humanity had ever sent into the void. Override detected, human interference, unacceptable. The crescents outside began moving for the first time. The wrath of gods, from the heart, a shockwave erupted. The architects spoke as one. Key, compromised. Remove contamination. Erase humanity. Suddenly the void lit up with power beyond weapons. Stars themselves trembled as architect fields warped spacetime around Earth's sun. Naira screamed into Ethan's ear. They're collapsing, Saul. We have minutes. Zira's 4 eyes snapped open, blazing white. No, she shouted. She reached, deep into the forge, deeper than she was meant to. Her veins burned like liquid fire, and her voice became 2 voices, then 3, then many. Forge, hear me. You are not theirs. You are not mine. You are free. For a moment, silence. Then, the impossible happened. The forge listened. The twist. The forge's rings began to rotate backward. Its energy shifted tone. Ethan saw the architect crescents freeze in place. Naira whispered softly. They've lost control. Zira fell to her, knees gasping. I severed their command paths. But Ethan, they're angry now. Outside, the crescents moved again. But this time, not slow. They accelerated with terrifying speed, their smooth black surfaces glowing blood red. Ethan stood slowly, his hands tightening around the controls. Then we make them bleed. Naira cut in, urgent. Ethan, the forge isn't designed for war. Then we redesign it.